You know that specific feeling when you walk into a house that looks just absolutely incredible from the curb.
Oh, yeah, like the perfect landscaping.
Exactly. You've got the manicured porch, maybe some nice rocking chairs. You walk in, the foyer is polished marble, the chandelier is glistening. But then you ask to see the vault, the place where the actual valuables should be kept. And it's just, well, it's empty.
Just cobwebs.
Right, just a few cobwebs.
It's the classic house poor business model. I mean, it's all aesthetics, no assets. You see it constantly, especially online.
And that is exactly the analogy we are unpacking today.
Mm.
We're doing a deep dive into a really dense, honestly fascinating panel discussion titled Week 4, Integrating Revenue Streams. This was hosted by Ericka Bates, who she refers to herself as the architect of virtual spaces. And it was recorded specifically for the business landscape of February 2026.
And that date really matters here. I mean, we are talking about a post-AI hype cycle world where these digital ecosystems are the norm, not the exception. The old rules of, say, 2023 or 2024, they just don't apply anymore.
They really don't. And the central tension Ericka sets up right out of the gate is, well, it's pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, she doesn't pull any punches.
No, she essentially argues that if you only make money when you are, quote, on stage, meaning when you're coaching, speaking, actively working, you haven't actually built an ecosystem.
Right.
You've just built a 9-to-5 job where the boss is you. And frankly, the boss is a tyrant who never gives you time off.
It's harsh, but it's incredibly accurate. And the mission of this deep dive for everyone listening is to solve that exact problem. How do you move from those one-off time-for-money transactions to a cohesive profit engine?
Exactly. We're talking about filling the vault.
Filling the vault. To get there, we're pulling insights from 3 panelists who, honestly, they couldn't be more different from each other.
Yeah, it's a great mix. We have Ericka, the virtual architect. We have Patrick Jackman, who is a leadership consultant focusing heavily on corporate communication. And then we have the wild card.
Oh, Elle.
Yes, Elle Kersey from Lex Maverick.
Elle is definitely the one to watch in this discussion. She works in sports regeneration and what she calls performance governance. And her approach to money and value is, let's just say, it's contrarian.
Contrarian is putting it mildly.
Right.
But before we get to her radical pricing models, we really have to address the mess that most people are currently in. The panel calls it the flea market problem.
Yeah, this is brand clutter.
Right.
It happens all the time. A business owner panics about revenue, so they launch a $27 ebook, then maybe a t-shirt store, then, I don't know, an affiliate link for some software they barely even use, then suddenly a high-ticket retreat.
It feels like they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks.
Because that is exactly what they're doing. And to the customer, it looks like a yard sale. Patrick Jackman made a really sharp point here, using basic communication theory. He talked about the sender and the receiver.
Oh, I love this part. He said that clarity is the only currency that actually matters.
Right. He argues that if the receiver, meaning your client, can't instantly understand how your $20 affiliate link relates to your $10,000 consulting package, you've failed. You haven't diversified your income. You've just diluted your brand authority.
So the goal isn't just to have multiple streams of income. It's integrated streams.
Exactly. The vault strategy requires them to stack. Your low-tier offer should naturally educate the client on exactly why they need the mid-tier, and that mid-tier qualifies them for the high-tier. If they're just competing for attention, you're just cannibalizing your own business.
Okay, so let's talk about how to actually structure that stack, because this is where the panel gets into a debate that honestly flipped my whole understanding of funnels upside down. They are discussing the roadmap to $120,000 a year.
That classic 10K a month benchmark everyone is always chasing.
Right. And to get there, we usually look at the profit pyramid.
The traditional profit pyramid. We all know it. You start with a lead magnet, something free, a PDF or whatever. Then a tripwire, maybe $47. You warm them up, gain their trust, and eventually, maybe months later, you try to sell the big stuff.
And Elle Kersey essentially takes that pyramid and sets it completely on fire.
She really does.
She tells this story, the Dragon Lady analogy, that had me laughing, but the business insight underneath it is dead serious.
It's brilliant. She's describing these complex nail growth funnels she sees online. She says the $7 product is just, quote, crap on your nails to make them look good temporarily.
Right, and the $27 upsell is just a guide on how to use the crap.
Exactly. But if you want the real result, What she calls the Dragon Lady nails the actual biological long-term result you need, the high-ticket internal health protocol.
But her point wasn't just about manicures. It was about the value of information in 2026.
This is the key insight for everyone listening. In 2026, how-to information is a commodity. It is completely free. If you are trying to sell a PDF on how to stretch for $10, you are competing with an AI agent that can generate a highly personalized stretching plan in 4 seconds for free.
Yeah.
You just cannot build a business on basic information anymore.
So her model is the inverse funnel. She actually starts with high ticket, which I have to admit sounds incredibly risky to me. It's like asking for the big sale on the first date.
Well, it's only risky if you don't solve a bleeding neck problem.
A bleeding neck problem.
Yeah, an urgent, critical crisis. Think about her clients at Lux Maverick. She works with elite NFL athletes who are severely injured. If you are a linebacker with a torn hamstring and your contract negotiations are coming up in 2 weeks, do you want a $19 ebook?
No, I want to be on the field next Sunday. I don't care about the ebook at all.
Exactly. You have a crisis. So Elle's logic is, I don't have a low-ticket offer for new clients. My new clients come to me because they are in crisis.
That is a massive mindset shift. We are so conditioned to think we have to earn the right to charge high prices by giving away cheap stuff first. But she's saying if the pain is real enough, the cheap stuff is actually a distraction.
It's worse than a distraction, honestly. It signals that you don't understand the severity of their problem. If I'm an athlete losing millions sitting on the bench, offering me a DIY guide is almost insulting. I want a solution, and I expect that solution to be expensive because I expect it to work fast.
Now, this leads directly into why she can charge those premium prices. She used a term that I think you really need to write down if you're listening, performance governance. This sounded fascinating, but also a little dense. Can we break this down?
Absolutely. This is where we leave the realm of physical therapy and enter the realm of pure economics. She isn't selling healthcare. She is selling asset protection.
She gave that brutal example about NFL coaches getting fired.
Yeah, she noted that coaches rarely get fired just for losing a few games. They get fired because they couldn't keep their blue star players, the superstars, on the field. The team owner is looking at a $50 million quarterback sitting on the bench and asking the coach, why am I paying for this?
So the coach actually takes the fall for the player's health.
Right. And here's where Elle identified what she calls the revenue leak. It's not the injury itself because insurance usually covers the player's salary while they're hurt. The real leak is the on-ramp.
The on-ramp. Walk me through that.
It's that awful period where a player is medically cleared to play, so the insurance stops paying, but the player isn't actually back to 100% capacity.
Oh, wow.
So they play poorly, they drag the team down, or even worse, they get hurt again immediately because they were compensating for the old injury. That instability costs the team actual wins, and eventually it costs the coach his job.
So when Elle pitches her services, she's not saying, I'll fix his knee. She's saying, I will use data to guarantee his return to play ROI, and I'll save your job.
Bingo. She elevated her service from a commodity fixing a body part to a strategic business necessity, saving a career.
That is the difference between being a mechanic and selling an insurance policy.
And the revenue potential between those two things is astronomical. If you frame yourself as a mechanic, you get paid an hourly wage. But if you frame yourself as the insurance policy that prevents a multi-million-dollar disaster, you get a slice of the value you saved.
But here's the catch, and I think we need to ground this a bit. You can't just walk into a room and demand that kind of money without an immense amount of trust. And this is where Patrick Jackman brought the panel back down to earth. He talked about relational leadership.
It was such a necessary pivot in the conversation. Because we get so hyped on the high-ticket math, right? But Patrick reminds us that high-ticket requires high trust. You cannot automate a $50,000 handshake.
There was a specific metric they discussed for this, the mom test.
Oh, I loved the mom test.
Yeah.
So Ellen mentioned that her athletes trust her so much they eventually ask her to treat their mothers and their children.
And Patrick just jumped on that. He said that is the ultimate KPI, or key performance indicator.
It really is. I mean, an athlete might let you touch their knee because the team is literally paying you to do it. That's a transaction. But they will only let you near their mother if they trust you as a human being.
And that trust is what secures the vault. It turns a one-time fix into a lifetime relationship.
Patrick breaks his own business down into two models. He has Go to You, which is his corporate training where he travels to the client, and Come to Us, which are his open enrollment workshops. But the glue for both of those streams is that human connection.
Building community.
Right. In a world full of AI, the human touch becomes the actual premium product.
Speaking of the human touch, or perhaps the complete lack of it, we have to talk about the honey moment from the panel.
Oh boy, the ultimate communication breakdown.
Yeah, Patrick was explaining why leadership training is still so necessary in 2026. And he gave an example of a leader who still calls his administrative assistant honey or baby.
And Elle's reaction was just immediate. She said something like, "You mean I can't have a secretary that's going to hold my hand?" It was a funny moment the way she delivered it, but it highlighted a very serious operational risk.
It's a culture clash, but Patrick framed it as a literal business failure.
Because it's a revenue leak. Think about it. If you're a leader running a 1990s operating system for communication in the year 2026, you are going to hemorrhage talent. Patrick's point is that clarity between the sender and the receiver isn't just a marketing concept. It's about retention. If your staff feels disrespected, they leave. And turnover is incredibly expensive.
It goes right back to that sender versus receiver concept. The leader thinks he's being friendly, he's the sender. But the admin hears condescension. She's the receiver. The message failed.
Exactly. And when communication fails internally, the entire ecosystem cracks. You simply can't build the vault if your team is constantly walking out the door.
So we got the high-ticket strategy, we got the human element, but since this was recorded for the 2026 landscape, they spent the last segment looking heavily toward the future. And they used a very specific term, agentic AI.
This is a crucial distinction for everyone listening. We aren't talking about generative AI anymore.
Right.
Tools that just write emails or generate pictures. That's old news by 2026 standards.
Right. Agentic means it has agency. It can actually do things.
Exactly. And agentic AI doesn't just draft the email for you. It monitors your inbox, identifies the hot lead, drafts the response based on your previous data, sends it, and books the meeting on your calendar without you ever touching the keyboard.
The panel suggests using these agents to handle the foyer. So the plumbing, the scheduling, the low-level admin work, basically making sure the business owner isn't the bottleneck.
It allows you to focus entirely on the vault, the high-value delivery. If you are still manually scheduling Zoom calls in 2026, you are wasting your most expensive asset, which is your attention.
It sounds great, but I imagine it requires a lot of trust in the tech, handing over your calendar like that.
It does, but the alternative is burnout. If you want a 365-day profit engine, you can't be the one manually cranking the gears every single morning.
And finally, there was a bit of a technical skirmish at the end regarding the web itself. It was Ericka versus Elle on Web 3. This felt like a real clash of philosophies.
The rent versus own debate.
Yeah, Ericka was pushing Elle to move away from traditional domain names.
This is a massive mindset shift toward digital sovereignty. In the traditional web, what we call Web 2, you pay a registrar a yearly fee for your .com. Technically, you are just renting that space.
Right.
If you stop paying or if the provider decides you've violated some arbitrary term of service, you vanish, your business is gone.
And Ericka is pushing for the Web 3 model, putting the domain in a digital wallet, like on the Ethereum namespace.
Because she wants to actually own the asset, not rent it. And it fits the theme of the whole discussion, which is security. Whether it's owning your audience so you aren't dependent on social media algorithms or owning your domain on the blockchain. It's all about ensuring no one can pull the rug out from under your ecosystem.
Elle was skeptical, though. She pushed back pretty hard.
Highly skeptical. She said something like, "I don't want any Bitcoin stuff." And honestly, that's a valid reaction. It shows that even highly successful entrepreneurs hesitate when the underlying infrastructure changes.
Yeah, it's intimidating.
But the principle remains. If you are building a legacy, you want to own the land it sits on. Ericka's argument is that renting your business foundation is a long-term risk you shouldn't take.
So if we pull all this together, they discuss something called the architect's pivot. If you had to tear it all down and start from scratch today, what is the blueprint?
The consensus was pretty surprising. Do not start by building a massive audience. Do not start with a blog. And do not start with a $27 ebook.
Start with a high ticket.
Monetize the problem immediately. Find the bleeding neck issue like that injured athlete and solve it for a premium price. Then use that cash flow to fund the rest of your ecosystem.
It's the complete reverse of the standard influencer model. You monetize first and you build the audience second.
It's faster, it's far more sustainable, and honestly, it's cleaner. You're solving real, critical problems from day one instead of just dancing for likes on social media.
So to recap the Vault strategy, we've got 3 distinct pillars that emerged from this panel.
Pillar 1 is clarity. Don't build a flea market. Ensure every single offer logically leads to the next one. If the receiver is confused, the wallet stays closed.
Pillar 2 is urgency.
Don't be afraid to flip the funnel. If the problem is critical, lead with high ticket. Specific implementation beats general information every single time. Because in an AI world, people pay for results, not how-to guides.
And pillar 3.
Relation. Automation handles the foyer, but trust that mom test is what actually fills the vault. Community is the only thing that cannot be commoditized. You can clone a voice, but you cannot clone a relationship.
I love that. It turns the incredibly daunting task of business building into something actually manageable. It stops being about doing everything, and it starts being about doing the right things.
It really does. It simplifies all the chaos.
So here is the final thought I want to leave you with as you go about your day. Think about your own role right now, whether you run a business or work inside one. Based on that concept of performance governance, are you just selling a service, fixing the injury, or are you selling economic insurance, preventing the firing?
The difference in your bank account will be the difference between being a vendor and being an indispensable partner.
Be the partner. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
See you next time.